Next on AM 1480 WLEA, the Newsmaker Show. Here's Brian O'Neill.
Always great on a Friday to have with us Alfred University professor emeritus of political science, Dr. Robert Heineman. Dr. Heineman, thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you. I think you got that right finally there, Brian.
There we go. Oh, Dr. Bob, so many things to talk about. You kept up on the Paul Seglia case there for a long time. He was found in Ecuador.
No, I guess we'll just watch it develop. I'm wondering, are they bringing his family with him, or are they leaving?
They said in the reports that I saw that that's how they found him. From reading different reports, one of them said that the wife finally got exasperated with not talking to people and called her sister, and the sister tipped off the feds. That's what I've read. And then the U.S. Marshals went down there and started following around Ayesa, Paul Seglia's wife, and then that led them to Paul Seglia, who's being brought back to the U.S. I don't know about the family.
So, well, I guess we got another judicial case to deal with there then.
Yes, Paul Argentieri says he's looking forward to seeing Mark Zuckerberg in a New York City courtroom. Dr. Bob, so many people are calling for impeachment. I think the Drudge Report has it that cable news, it was recorded that they said the word impeachment 222 times in just one day. That would be from the different channels. Is that going to happen?
Not by any means. You know, I guess the whole thing here is, and I think this is where the Democrats are making a huge mistake, they're going to try to put this midterm election, I think, based on impeaching Donald Trump. And if I'm a candidate for the Democrats, boy, I'd stay away from that a long way. Because all this judicial maneuvering that's going on, basically there's almost none of it. I don't think there's any of it that has anything to do with Donald Trump. And the aspects of it that could have something to do with Donald Trump, such as his relationships with Stormy Daniels and various models and things of that sort, really have nothing to do with him as president. I suppose you could come up with a situation where he committed perjury, but of course he hasn't testified in any way, shape, or form under oath about any of this thing.
And seems to be avoiding that for that very reason, Dr. Bob.
Right, exactly. So that, you know, the fact that he's had these relationships and tried to cover them over, I mean, his supporters are already aware of that. And so if you want to run on that basis against a Republican supporting Trump, I think your chances are not very good. Again, it comes down to who the candidates are. I mean, some people are, you know, just better candidates and better liked. And so whether a Democrat or Republican, it certainly improves their chances. But the issue, if you're going to run on that particular issue, I think basically the Trump supporters, frankly, don't care. I mean, they've heard all this information already. And this Manafort case and the Cohen situation, again, all these situations happened before Trump was president. So the idea that there's any corruption here, I think is pretty far-fetched. I don't think there's any question that Manafort, for example, and Cohen as well, I don't know about Cohen, but Manafort's already been convicted of, you know, some pretty clear-cut, I think, violations of federal statute. And the problem here, I think, is that Trump picked a lot of people that he associated with and knew over the years, but frankly, he didn't, as far as I can tell, for the most part, have any kind of government experience. So in the sense that they were vetted, you know, they clearly weren't vetted. And that's been costly. So,
Dr. Bob, getting back to your point there about how you believe the Democrats at the national level are wrong to campaign for their House and Senate candidates solely on the topic of impeachment. I was talking to a Republican source in Washington who said, while the average Democrat has an intense dislike for President Donald Trump, that doesn't reach all the way to every single lawmaker. You might be mad at Trump, but are you all mad at O'Mara? Are you all mad at Reid? Are you all mad at Kathy Young?
Yeah, I suppose that's the point. I think the way of looking at it is, and the polls tend to support that at this point, is that a huge percentage of the Republicans support Trump. He's not losing any Republican support. In fact, he may be gaining some. And second, the blue-collar Democrats who supported Trump, they're not breaking either. They're not leaving. So my point is, if you want to campaign that you're going to impeach him, those people, they're not going to change their mind about Trump. They're going to continue to support him. So I don't know where the Democrats are going with this.
Do you think there's any kind of outreach on the Democrats' part to reach out to the voters that they lost, the blue-collar factory workers?
Well, that's what they have to do, and that's not what they're not doing. And I think they're tied up with this whole bubble complex in New York City and Washington, D.C., where the media people, they've got, and they do have, judicial convictions for a number of these people for things that they clearly shouldn't have done, but that doesn't add up to any kind of basis for an impeachment of President Trump. And, I mean, it's absurd. But the media people, and then, as you say, the activist Democrats who are constantly pushing their particular agenda, which is not Trump's or the Republicans, obviously they think somehow there's some way they get, you have the makings of a feeding frenzy here, but you don't see any, as far as I can see, Republicans jumping off the ship by any means. Now, if they start jumping off the ship, with the Nixon situation, you begin to get people, long-time respected congressmen and senators, beginning to suggest that impeachment was in fact possible. And I'm trying to think. I don't think Nixon was actually impeached. Clinton was, but they never reached a point that Nixon just left office there.
Dr. Bob, as I listen to the Democrats and I listen to people like Lanny Davis, the thought comes to my mind, is some of this payback for the Clinton impeachment, what they're doing to Donald Trump?
Well, I don't know. That's kind of a stretch, I think.
Do you? Because a lot of these people who are involved with the investigation into Trump seem to have close Hillary ties. I believe a lot of the people that Mueller put in there were Hillary donors.
Right. That's true. And this whole thing, I think one of the big takeaways from this is that I think the Democrats and the Republicans, I don't care which way you cut it, would be insane to start out an administration with a special prosecutor again. I think that it's just totally disrupted all kinds of things that should be moving in a different direction. And you can't tell me that if you had appointed a special prosecutor at the beginning of the Clinton administration, you wouldn't have found a lot of nefarious characters bouncing around there as well. So, again, a lot of these people involved in politics have been involved in a lot of other things. And so I don't care whether it's Democrats or Republicans, starting out an administration like this one, and that's why Trump is so angry. And you really can't blame him there, letting this guy go ahead and be appointed. And I think it looks increasingly like Jeff Sessions is going to be on the way here.
Do you think so? Ben Sass has a headline, I warned Trump that firing Sessions is a very bad idea. What do you think that Trump will go ahead and do it anyway?
Yeah, but I don't think it'll happen before the election.
Okay. We're talking with Alfred University Professor Emeritus of Political Science, Dr. Robert Heineman. I want to get back to Trump, but I did want to spend a little time on Governor Andrew Cuomo. The governor's still reeling from his America wasn't so great after all, in retrospect, statement that he made. Cynthia Nixon is getting a lot of capital out of that. What she's the latest on Cynthia Nixon, she's saying two things. One, she's saying that Cuomo is wrong to back down because Trump gave Cuomo a hard time on the America's not such a great place statement. Two, she's saying that Cuomo should return the campaign money. And actually, three, she's also saying, Cynthia Nixon is also saying that whatever Governor Cuomo's problems are, he wouldn't be as bad for the state as Mark Molinaro. All of those statements coming from Cynthia Nixon. Your thoughts, Dr. Bob?
Well, again, it seems to me if somebody ought to get Cynthia Nixon focused here a little bit. Wouldn't you say maybe home in on just one or two of those ideas and just keep hammering them? There's not much time left here, Brian. What are we?
It's August 24th, Friday, August 24th, Dr. Bob.
Yeah, so
primary coming up.
September 13th. We're looking at less than 3 weeks here, I think, Brian. This is getting really quite interesting. No, I think the thing with Cynthia Nixon, there is what percentage of the vote is she going to pull? If she pulls anywhere around 40% of the vote, Cuomo is toast. But if she ends up at, say, 25 or 26% of the vote, then I don't know. The feeling would be that the Democrats are sticking with Cuomo regardless of all the corruption and such and idiotic statements he says.
On those types of statements, Dr. Bob, Governor Cuomo says that President Trump should be impeached if he goes ahead and pardons Attorney Cohen. The only thing that bothers me about that, I looked at the time period when Cuomo said that. It was like 3 hours before Governor Cuomo said that the president should be impeached if he pardons Michael Cohen. 3 hours before that, Lanny Davis was saying that Michael Cohen does not want a pardon.
Yeah.
So he's kind of making an issue where it doesn't exist, the governor.
Well, not necessarily there. I think Trump could certainly come in and pardon Cohen regardless. But, and I don't know, that would be interesting. He pardons him and he doesn't want the pardon. I don't think that's going to... But I think there's more coming down the pike here with Cohen, and Trump is just waiting to see what happens. And in a sense, I guess it's kind of hanging there. How far is Cohen going to go? And if he really torpedoes Trump, then there's no reason Trump should bother pardoning him. On the other hand, if he comes out with not very much there, Trump may well turn around. But I think Trump's pretty ticked off at Cohen right now anyway. So, but the point is, could he be impeached for pardoning Cohen? No, not by any stretch of the imagination. There's no crime in pardoning someone. It's clearly a power the president has. So Cuomo's just rambling here, and I think he's beginning to ramble more and more. So I don't know what those internal polls they have show. But that's kind of the thing that I'm sure Cuomo is keeping pretty close track of.
Dr. Bob, we're going to take a quick break. Stay with us.
Are you looking for an obstetrician or gynecologist? Make an appointment today with Dr. Anna Herring, OBGYN. Dr. Herring sees women of all ages in Wellsville at 127 North Main Street and in Hornell at 430 Canastillo Street. To make an appointment in Wellsville, call 585-596-4047. To see Dr. Herring in Hornell, please call 607-324-06
And now, meteorologist Rob Carroll. Now, when we talked to you a couple days ago, you were not quite sure how the weekend was going to go. What do you say these days, Rob?
Well, I say it's going to play out a little bit better than it was looking earlier in the week, Brian. We've got high pressure right now sitting down across a big section of the eastern United States, stretching from West Virginia into northern Georgia. We've got a storm system, though, moving into Minnesota. We're going to be right on the leading edge of that system this weekend. So we will see some moisture work its way towards us that may produce a little bit of shower activity late tomorrow night into Sunday. But it certainly looks like we're going to have time where we can get out and enjoy portions of Saturday and Sunday and not have a problem. Weather-wise, looks like we'll be dealing with gorgeous weather today from start to finish. Abundant sunshine, comfortable too, 75 to 80. Sunrise this morning was at 6:28, sunset tonight at 7:57. Now tonight we'll have partly cloudy weather developing. It'll be 55 to 60. Tomorrow, Brian, some sunshine. There'll be some passing cloudiness, especially late in the day, and that's when we'll start to see our chance for picking up a shower increase. It'll be after about 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Highs will be 75 to 80. There'll be a few showers around tomorrow night, 60 to 65. Clouds give way to occasional sunshine Sunday with the chance of a passing shower with thunderstorm, 80. And it looks partly sunny with the chance of showers and thunderstorms early next week, Brian. Also looks hot and humid.
We're back with Alfred University Professor Emeritus of Political Science, Dr. Robert Heineman. Dr. Bob, when I go on Facebook, I see a lot of political comments regarding the Molly Tibbetts case. That's the 21-year-old Iowa college girl who was killed reportedly by an illegal. And, you see so many people on the left posting on Facebook their opinions on this. And their opinion, their opinion very commonly that the big problem here is Fox News, and that Fox News is singling out a single case. Some people will go and they're implying racism on Fox News' part. The other thing that they're saying is if this was an average American-born white male that had made the killing, we'd never know about it. It wouldn't be important. Did you have any thoughts on those statements?
Well, I think your last point is stupid, not from your point, mind you, Brian, but for people saying that. The whole point of this is that this guy, and again, you're innocent until proven guilty, so we'll have to, but it's alleged, and I guess there's quite a bit of evidence that he's guilty. But be that as it may, that's not the point. The point is that this guy is in this country illegally, and it's been... and the idea that they're just picking him out there, how many other cases where illegal aliens have, in fact, killed people, raped people, and basically broken the law? And the whole idea here is that Trump is arguing for more rigorous requirements for people coming into the country. I mean, he's not against immigration per se, but he is certainly against just an open border situation where people come charging up here pretty much whenever they want. So one of the problems is, of course, once they come across illegally, they're already have broken the law, and so I think you do tend to get people, and not a huge percentage of them by any means, but still they're living outside the law when they get here. And but again, obviously, a lot of them are working and not dangerous in any sort. But again, you got to have some kind of control over who gets in here and who we keep out. So that's the point. And the idea of some basic white kid out in Utah or somebody that murdered somebody, well, that's true. I mean, it's a bad thing, but it's not it doesn't tie into any kind of national policy issue that's being bounced around right now.
Did you see what Senator Warren said?
Warren's approach on this is, well, golly, it's not, this is a tragic thing in the family and all this sort of thing. But then she immediately switches the topic to Trump and his attempts to prevent immigrants from coming into the country. And that. So she immediately switches from the point that, hey, hold it here just a minute, this is another illegal immigrant who's created a horrendous crime, committed a horrendous crime. She immediately switches from that to try to somehow go after Cuomo or Trump. And, that's how the liberals want to avoid the direct issue that Trump is raising there.
We've been talking with Alfred University professor Dr. Robert Heineman. Dr. Heineman, I did have one other point on that, on the whole idea of voicing every single opinion on Facebook that you have. Does everybody who posts all these opinions on Facebook, are they ready to take the heat that people who voice their opinions have to take?
Well, I do think that people end up putting on comments on Facebook that with a little more thought and time probably would not be doing so. And I don't know how much feedback and nastiness they get as a result of that. But it's a very easy thing to reach over there and punch a few buttons and let things fly. I don't know.
I don't know. Just a thought.
Yeah. Well, I do think another problem with this is, of course, that if you've got unpopular opinions or you got conservative opinions or such, that the media does tend to give these liberal activists a pass on their nastiness in restaurants and places like that. That's unfortunate. I understand what's going on there. I just pick a little hometown restaurant and spend my time eating quietly and getting out as fast as I can.
Speak softly and carry a big stick. Dr. Bob, thank you so much for joining us.
That's my advice. Talk to you later, Brian.